The views and opinions expressed in this podcast by the host and or the guest do not necessarily reflect the views of the host and or Paranormal Buzz Radio and or its sponsors. Use of any material produced by Paranormal Buzz Radio without express written consent is prohibited. Paranormal Buzz Radio will not be held responsible for you holding your knees, crying, and rocking in a corner in a puddle of your own urine, or being beheaded by a group of children in a cornfield. In fact, if you come across a group of children in a cornfield, we promise to make fun of you as you run away screaming in terror. Listener discretion is advised.
You're listening to REP Paranormal and Friends with your hosts,
Kim Purvis
and Allison Robinson. Make sure to check us out on our Facebook pages, REP Paranormal and Friends and REP Paranormal Busters, for up-to-date show information and events.
Hey everyone, welcome to REP Paranormal and Friends. We have a special guest returning with us to kind of continue our discussion into death. Last time he was on, we talked about his book, Our Eternal Existence, A Metaphysical Perspective of Reality. And today we're going to kind of dive into a little bit more about that. Last time we talked about the metaphysical and consciousness parts of that book. So today I would like to talk to David about a little bit different aspect of this. So thank you, David, for returning to the show.
Thank you, Allison, for having me. I'm glad to be here.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So last time, like I said, we talked kind of about the metaphysical part of it and consciousness, and we talked about the channeling of some spirits. But today I'd like to know, we talked about death, but what is actually the purpose of life?
The purpose of life is to evolve, to grow our consciousness. And we do this by coming down to a physical reality and having experiences. So everybody has their own particular aspect of their evolution that they want to experience when they're down here. But generally, everybody is here for the purpose of understanding themselves better, and that helps them understand life.
Okay, so do you think it's important for us to understand death in order to understand life?
I think it helps tremendously. I think if we understand what happens to us in death, we don't have the fear that so many people have of death, and that allows us to be freer and make better decisions during our life here.
What is death in your perspective? What does that entail?
It's simply a transition out of the physical world back into the astral field. And the astral field is where we live when we're not having life experiences. So all it is a transformation. We leave our body behind, but our consciousness leaves and goes into the astral field, where we do all kinds of interesting things and fun things, and We leave a lot of our aches and pains. Matter of fact, we leave all of our aches and pains and aggravations behind. Not that we don't have to deal with the aggravations maybe in the future, but we don't right away. We rest, we relax, we meet our friends, and we enjoy life for a while.
Got it. Now, with life and death, we're born, we're here, and then we die. Why do we have to die? Why can't we just continue to live the way we are now?
Well, one, you wouldn't want to. There's a lot of reasons why you want to. It's a tough place to live. Let's face it.
Yeah.
Everybody's having a tough life, and your spirit can only handle so much of this, and then it says, "All right, time to kind of kick back and relax." But there's other reasons too. There's some spirits are they get lost on their journey, if you will, and they start racking up karma, and they're not having the experiences that their souls signed them up for and they had originally agreed to, and they need to they need to go back and stop this path and get refocused and move on. Now that's a small number. It's an important number, and if you're in that situation, it's important. But it's just one of those things that the body changes, and it's just time to do something else. Besides, you want to have different experiences, and each personality that's created that we are can only have a certain number of experiences, and life is precious. When you think about eternity and you think about the number of hours we actually spend living a life, it's very, very small. So you want to have an opportunity to have as many experiences as you can, and so what you want to do is you want to go back and reset the scale, if you will, and then come back and see things maybe from a different side, another view. So there's a lot of good reasons not to live forever.
Now, when we, let's say we are reincarnated, do we get to choose what we come back to do? Why would somebody choose to come back and do terrible things? Like, what would be the purpose of that?
Well, most of the time, the people that do terrible things have lost their way and have gotten confused, and they're they're dealing with issues that they hadn't planned on doing. Sometimes you'll come back and you'll have a karmic task to do, and you can help a lot of other people who have been misguided along the way, and you might, for example, be the apparent bad guy that helps people experience their karmic situations. That would be more of an unusual, but might be in a mass type of situation. But most of the time it would if you come back here, you don't sign up to come back and injure other people or bother other people. You come back to do have very positive experiences.
Okay. I was just wondering because, I've heard, so many different things on that. So I like to hear everybody's perspective on why we come back the way we do, why, maybe one time we did, we're positive, and the next time we come back and, we're doing terrible things. I just didn't know if that's something that they wanted to learn, or if, maybe in the past life they were hurt and then they come back to, revenge. I just didn't know what your thoughts were on that.
I don't think revenge is ever part of the plan. You can certainly get involved with that, as we know, but that's not something that you bring with you. I don't think. I think you might come back for a karmic experience where you ended up killing somebody that killed you. That's not revenge. That's a whole different thing. That's teaching them a lesson. Karma is an interesting phenomena. We get karma when we interfere with somebody's life. If we prevent somebody from having the experiences that they came here to have, then we owe them the energy that they used to create and get to that point. So we have to pay that back. But that's a mutual type of thing. That's the person that caused the problem has to have an agreement from the person that's going to, I hate to call it pay them back, but the person, that we look at it as paying them back, they have to get their agreement. And so that there's certainly karmic lives that we have. We all have karmic lives. We've all done things along the way. And it's a teaching experience.
Now, are we punished for any bad deeds that we do?
We're never punished for anything. We have to deal with those deeds, and some of it can be pretty unpleasant, and it might seem like being punished, but we're not being punished. We're just being taught, and we're being taught. Some of the examples can be difficult lessons, but we're not being punished. Nobody's is ever punished because we do these things out of ignorance, and nobody's ever punished for being ignorant. So no, there's no punishment when you live a life and we judge that person's life as being a bad life. There's nobody says to them, "Oh, you really screwed up," and you've got a problem. And on the other hand, if you had a great life, there's no attaboys either. It's just the world just looks at it and you say, "Okay, that was that life. Here's where you are. Here's what we have to do and how we have to deal with it."
Now, when we're reincarnated, do you think that we only come back in human form, or can we come back as like an animal or something?
No,
different?
we've passed that stage. We will not come back as an animal. Now we're a sentient being, and a sentient being is the cetaceans are also sentient beings, being a whale and a dolphin. But we, in this cycle, we will not come back as a whale or a dolphin. We might, in a future cycle, say, "Hey, I want to experience being a dolphin," and we might do that. But we wouldn't, in this cycle, we would not come back as anything other than a human being. Now, we could conceivably, if something happened to our planet here, and it was no longer viable for a place for us to live, we might end up going to another planet and not being necessarily human, but we would be very, very similar to a human. We'd have, we'd be obviously sentient, but we wouldn't do that alone. We'd do that with, many, many, many other souls as a team.
When we die, do we have a body form, or is it just like our consciousness that?
No, we have a body. It would be very strange for us not to have a body. So we have we have an astral body, and we have that now. I have an astral body. We have a number of bodies. We have a mental body. We have ephemeral body. We have a number of bodies that we will use later on. When we die, we lose our physical body, but we have a body, so we'll look down and we'll think that body is firm and regular, because that's the energy that we'll have. So we'll think we're a body like this. Only we'll have very, very different properties that we're able to do. We'll won't be stuck with gravity, and we won't, we'll be able to move freely and go anywhere we want, and many other things. And we'll have our inner senses. We won't have these five senses that we're stuck with to perceive this reality.
Now, when we die, do you think that we can still come visit?
Absolutely. Matter of fact, once we die, many, many near-death experiences have shown us that very often you'll hang around for a while. and you can, if you die on an operating table, you might watch them operate, and then if you die suddenly, you're more likely to stay around for the funeral and to see how the others are reacting, and trying to help them along a little bit in your absence. But you can I think once you've if you die and you're 92 and you're ready to go, you may not hang around very long. You might just move on. Most of your friends and relatives have moved on anyway, and you might just say, "Hey, time to get out of town." Thank you.
Now, somebody who may have had like a tragic death, do you think that they could possibly be stuck here because they don't know exactly how to move on or what they're supposed to be doing, and they could just be kind of stuck in limbo?
It's not so much a tragic death, but you can get stuck on your way back. And if you're so focused on this planet and you're not ready to leave it, you can get stuck in probably your ephemeral body, and you'd be in maybe the higher. Each physical field has 7 different layers, and we're on the 4th. And you could get stuck in the 6th or 7th level, and that's what an apparition would be. And it's part of you doesn't make it all the way back, and we see it. You can see them sometimes, their aura and such. But it's people that they feel they came here for a purpose and had a purpose. They may be a soldier and feel that they have to win the war. They may be somebody that feels terribly responsible for a family, a relative, or a spouse, or a child, and just doesn't want to give it up. Just feels this is not the right thing to do, to leave, even though it is the right thing. They don't stay there forever. And the spiritual world will try to help them get back. But time doesn't exist in the spiritual world, and so it may take a while before they finally, get convinced that they need to move on. But it's an unusual circumstance. I wouldn't worry about it. I wouldn't have any of the listeners worry that they're not that they're going to get stuck. It's highly unlikely.
What if somebody passes and they don't want to be reincarnated? Do they have a choice in that?
Well, there is a choice, but you signed up. We sign up for a certain set of experiences, and we have, as I said, as I explain in our eternal existence, we have a set of growth patterns that we signed up to go through, and there are 35 different stages, and there's 7 steps in each stage, and there's infant, baby, young, mature, and old, and then there's a couple later on that we don't experience here. So we've pretty much agreed that yes, we want to do this. This is what we're going to do. So we might need a good, a lengthy rest before we, would get back into this, but it would be highly unlikely that we would say, yeah, we don't want to do this. We don't want to come back. However, everything is free will. If you really wanted to go do something else and just bail out completely, it's possible. It's just highly unlikely.
Okay. I wasn't for sure on that either, because there's some people that might be like, well, once I die, I don't want to come back. I don't want to have to deal with that again. So I just didn't know if there was a choice or not. So I do like that. That information.
Yeah, there is a choice, but you'll see the world very differently once you die, and you'll start. You'd go through a lot of processes when you go back to the astral plane, and they'll explain to you especially in your life analysis where you went wrong and what your problems were, and how you caused all your difficulties, and they'll explain how you caused them and how you can avoid that next time. Now, will you remember? I don't know, but you will. They help you. They help you tremendously going through this thing. So as bad as things seem now, and Are you still there?
Yep, I'm here.
Oh, okay, I'm glad you're there because I just lost my my picture here. Oh, there you go. Okay. They will explain and help you get through it. So even though it seems bad now, sometimes it's not nearly. It won't seem as bad to you when you've passed away and you understand the bigger picture.
Can we plan our own deaths, like when
we always plan our own death. We do a pre-life plan, and when we're before we're born, and we plan our birth and we plan our death. We plan our exit points, and we have a lot of options in our plan as to how we're going to live it, and each option has its own set of exit points. But we don't want to. Unfortunately, we can't remember what those are, so we don't want to step in, have the ego step in and say, "Okay, time for me to get out of here and commit suicide." Bad move. Your inner self, your soul knows when it's time for you to go, and your soul will take care of that problem for you. So, but yeah, you plan it. You plan what you're going to do. You just did it a long time ago. That's all.
All right. So we plan our own lives, but we can't remember our past lives.
Well, no. Not normally. You can, under certain circumstances. Hypnotic regression is one way that they can get you to understand and remember your past lives. It's all in you. All your past lives are in your subconscious. So it's there, and all your between lives are in your subconscious. So, and that's what Dr. Weiss found when he was working Many Lives, Many Masters. He had a patient, Catherine, and she was having a lot of different problems. So he thought, well, maybe her problems came from her early childhood days, and so he hypnotized her and took her back. Well, she went back life after life after life, and she was able to find the roots to all her problems.
Wow! But
so they're all in us. All those problems and all our positives and negatives. They're all in us. So yes, you can remember them, but normally you can't remember them. Your ego, which is the part of your conscious that is focused on the physical plane, it can't remember. But then that's the I that you think of yourself. You think, hey, this is who I am. Well, what that really is, that's the ego, and that's a small but highly focused part of your consciousness, and that focus is on the physical plane. And no, that can't remember. I can't remember what happened before. And so what that ego has done is it's being guided by your inner self, and you help guide it, and you guide it through your beliefs and your expectations, and your inner self will set up meetings for you. It will, the synchronicity, which is an interesting phenomena where it appears these random happenings that change your life occur, and everybody has them, but there's nothing random about them. They're created by your inner conscious to try to guide you towards having the experiences that you and it want to have in this particular life.
Excuse me, sorry. Tickled my throat. With these past lives, you said that we could do it through like a hypnotic thing to kind of remember some of these. Have you ever tried anything like that? Have you ever undergone that?
No, I haven't. I know a lot of people that have, but I personally never tried it.
Okay, all right. I was just curious because I've heard a lot of people do that, and I think that would be kind of interesting to try.
It is kind of interesting. I know about some of my past lives. I've talked to the entity Michael, and he has told me my last life was a karmic life where I got blown away as a Japanese soldier in very early parts of World War II.
Oh, wow.
And that was a karmic life, and and I know that the life that affected this one the most was I was around 1500. My youngest daughter and I were professors at a university in Budapest.
Oh, wow.
And she was a math professor, which blows her away because she hates math now.
Yeah.
And I was something like a sociology professor. It doesn't exactly translate here 500 years later, but I was always very frustrated. I knew that what I was teaching wasn't right, but I didn't know what was right. And that's why I came back in this life. One of the main reasons I came back in this life to try to get the story straight.
Very cool. Very cool. Now, you mentioned Michael. He is one of the ones that you can channel, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Was the other one?
And Shepherd Hoodwin is the best channel that I know.
Okay.
For Michael these days.
Very cool. Very cool. And how did that come about?
Well, after I retired, I wrote a book, The Endless Journey.
Right.
And so I was on numerous radio shows, and I thought, well, they're not asking the questions that I think the audiences should have, so I decided to have my own radio show. So I had a radio show that was live for a couple of years every Friday morning for an hour, and I invited Shepherd to come on the show. I had a lot of neat guests, and Shepherd was one of them. And I got to talk to him, and I had him back a couple times, and then he and I started having some sessions together, and that's really how it came about. And
cool.
it was fascinating. And Michael is he's an entity and an entity has about 1,000 souls in it. And he's in the causal plane. He's moved in. That group has moved on from the astral plane. And one of the, and so is Seth, by the way.
Yes, Seth
an entity in the causal plane. And one of the reasons the causal plane is so easy to connect to is because one of their jobs is to help the people that are still incarnated on the planet to help in their progress and evolution. So anyway, I got to, I got a number of sessions with Michael, and he was great. And I'd ask him all these crazy esoteric things. and Shepherd always said, "Hey, I was much more interesting to listen to because most people that talk to him wanted to know about themselves, and I want to know how the universe worked."
Right? Yeah, absolutely.
So I thought that was more interesting.
So you were talking about planes. How many of these different planes are there?
There's in our universe there's 7, and they're planes, or you probably ought to look at them as fields because planes gives you a concept of something that you stand on, right?
Right.
You're embedded in these things. So there's 7, and they're called fields of creation, and there's the physical. And then there's the astral, where we go back and forth between the physical. And then we move on to the causal, and then we move on to the mental, and then messianic, and then the Budaic. And there's one, and we have a cycle and experience in all of those different planes, except for the Akashic. The Akashic is between, frequency-wise, between the causal and mental, and that's where all the knowledge that is learned in this universe is stored. And this is an R&D universe, so we're here to learn new things. And the new things that we're here to learn is basically about ourselves, because we are part of the Tao, and the Tao is the only thing that exists. The Tao is universal consciousness, or God, or whatever you want to call it. And that's the only thing that exists. And that's what we're all trying to learn about, including the Tao itself. And we're helping the Tao learn new aspects of things. So we evolve by learning about ourselves.
Oh, very cool. I mean, I've heard that there were 7 planes, but I didn't know the names of all of them. So that was very cool. I mean, I obviously knew about the astral one, but I didn't know about the others. So that's a good insight there. Do you have any other books or anything that you're working on at this time, or?
I'm dabbling with a third book,
okay.
But we'll see how long that it goes before I publish that. It takes me about 3 years to write these, and it takes me a couple of years. I think it was 10 years between the last one and the Endless Journey and Our Eternal Existence.
That's right.
So it takes me a while to write these things.
Oh yeah, I can imagine. I mean, it would probably take me my whole lifetime to try to write a book, honestly.
Well, when I first started, I got out of the business world, and the reason that I got out of the business world is because I wanted to write a book. I wanted to document my thoughts, and it took me 6 months to get the business world out of my head so I could even put pen to paper.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but then you start, and you're looking. You got an empty piece of paper, and you said, "Okay, what do I think?" Mm-hmm. And then to try to document what you think, and it's many, many, many iterations to try to do that. It's a daunting task, but enjoyable. But it was done, and I had a great friend who helped me with both the books. Mm-hmm. And I'd send him a version, and he'd say, "Dave, I don't have a clue what you're writing about." Then I'd have to go back and make it. So if he understood it, then but unfortunately he's passed away.
Oh,
so
that's sorry to hear that.
Yeah.
Where can our listeners? I know your book, Our Eternal Existence, is on Amazon, and obviously you can get it through Collective Ink. But is there any other places that they can purchase your book, a website, or anything?
Well, I have a website, davidgaggin.com, and that's Gaggin, davidgaggin.com. And you can go there. You can read about both books. You can just click on buy a book, and it takes you right to a place where you can buy it immediately, and it takes you to Amazon. It has all of my old radio shows, the 2 years that I had, and so all of those shows, are a large percentage of them, are on my website. Many of these interviews that we do, if somebody sends me the interview, I put it on the site. And then I have a metaphysical meetup group. I'm down in Florida. I'm in Sanibel, Florida.
Okay.
Which is just outside of Fort Myers, little island, getting run over by hurricanes.
Yes, I was just going to say. Oh my goodness.
Yeah. Yes, we're forever drying out the place. Oh. But so it's free. I pick up all the costs. And you can join, again, it's Sanibel Metaphysical Meetup Group. You go to meetup.com and it's there. Oh, so there are places to find me and find out what's going on.
Perfect. Well, thank you, David, for being back on the show. It was a pleasure talking to you and diving a little bit more into your book, Our Eternal Existence. Everybody, please go check out his book, Our Eternal Existence, Metaphysical Perspective or Reality. You can get it on Amazon, Collective Ink, wherever you can purchase a book. All his information will be available on our social media as well. And once again, thank you, David, for joining me. It was a pleasure as always.
Thank you, Allison. It was a lot of fun.